Hi, and welcome to Created Arts Ministry Program and all of the different ways that we want to help teach and encourage you to connect with God through the creative arts, but then also teach other people how to connect with the healing heart of God through the amazingly creative and different opportunities and ways that He's given us to do so. And I wanted to share just a short exercise that can honestly be used in many, many different contexts. But this is something that I've been doing for a while with students when I do a creative camp in the summertime. And I wanted to share this as a resource. It seems so simple, but it's one that I keep thinking about over and over again. Here in Texas, it's spring, and so I'm watching new things blossom and come up out of the earth. And I walked outside and I saw the sunshine, and I thought, I didn't make the sunshine. None of us can make sunshine, but it is so beautiful and it gives such warmth. In our bodies, our skin literally needs it to survive. We need the vitamin D. And so there are beautiful things all around us, whether we pay attention or not, that God has created for us to enjoy, but that we also really need. And we can learn about His character through being in His creation. So this is a little exercise that I'm going to encourage you, and we're going to pray after we finish this, but I'm going to encourage you to seek God's heart of how you could use this basic concept. The concept is connecting to creation to learn about His heart and learn about who God is. And there's so many different ways you can do this, but we're going to look at Genesis 2, and it's actually the very end of chapter 1. But it says, God saw all that He had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, and there was a sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all of their vast array. And I'm so struck by how many times after He creates something, what does our Creator say? He says, it is good. Everything that God made is good. Even though there's death, even though there's decay, even though there's sin that's entered the world, what He made, and at the beginning, He made it to be good. And so we know just by looking at creation that His character is good, because all of these things reflect, if you're an artist or creative of any sort, what you make comes out of the heart of who you are. So this exercise is a way to teach people, even the littlest of people, to learn about His character and things that we often miss by watching and paying attention to His creation. So you might want to go and you can find something from nature. So basically just go find something that is God-made and not man-made. And then you want to bring it back. You can do this with a group. You can do this individually. This is something I practiced regularly daily, and then I would actually journal this. So I would keep a creation journal, meaning I would write down the date. I would write down what what God-made thing I was paying attention to or I was noticing that day, and then what I learned about His character. So I'm going to use this moss for an example. Let's say this is what I picked up. This is this really cool Spanish. This grows all over our oak trees here. And it attaches itself to the oak trees. It's actually not very good for the oak trees. But God did make it. And this is part of His creation. And so if you're able to, I want you to hold that thing in your hand. Okay, so you want to hold it in your hand. Or let's say you're just looking at a tree, or you're looking at the sky. I did this with snow one time. That was an amazing experience. Basically, just find something God made. I did it with my hand one time. Like, my hand is God's creation. And I want you to hold it. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to say, Lord, You made this, and it is good. Because it is good, and because You are good, would You teach me a little bit about who You are by studying this thing that You've made? just invite him into that learning experience. And so once you do that, you want to just kind of hold it in your hand or just observe it. And so don't say anything, don't write anything. And I want you to take a solid minute, okay? So a solid minute, we're not going to do that on here, to just notice. Look at the little ends of it. And when I do this with students, when I do this with children, it's always so interesting because they say, oh gosh, a whole minute of silence and just looking at it, that's so long. And they always go longer. I always have to snap them out of it. And I have to say, okay, guys, minute's over. Stop looking at it. I should probably just let them keep going and just keep observing. But how often do we stop and pay attention? Look at these interesting little ends of this thing here. There's this pay attention to how it feels. Maybe it's a bird and you're watching it and it sounds a certain way or it moves a certain way. I also have trucks in the background here. Got these leaves attached to it. I'm noticing how it attaches to the stick. That's so interesting. So I just want you to observe it. And then for a solid minute, I want you to after you do that, I want you to then begin to write down anything that you learn about God's character, because he's part of this, okay? So he made this, but he puts himself into everything that he creates. So I want you to write down something. So something that I notice here is all these different textures. There's just something about that. And that God is a God that loves to mix things together. I have thought about that idea before, but looking at this, it's like, no, that would be boring to just have this one. So I'm going to have these coming out too. He loves to blend and mix things together. Sometimes he likes the uniform, but another part of his character that I'm noticing here is that there's not just one aspect of this. It's not just, but this is one thing. So anyways, I want you to sit and write down all the things that you notice. And then after you do that, obviously you need to pause if you're going along with this. So after you do that, then I want you to ask the Lord, and I'm going to pray as an example. God, something I noticed about you is that you like to mix things together sometimes and have things not all be the same. That's really interesting to me. Lord, is there anything that I personally need to hear in that? Is there any part of my life or anything that you want to teach me through that today? And just listen. If any verses come to mind, if anything comes to mind that he shares, you're going to ask him, what do you want me to learn from that? And then the very last thing that I want you to do is, God, you're creator. And this is something I learned about you. What can we create together that makes me think about your diversity and makes me think about how you don't like to do things the same every time? Do you have any ideas of ways we can create together? Amen. And so through that you might just end there. It could be that your exercise is just to observe creation, learn about who God is, and keep a journal. But sometimes it could be, so one of the things I would do with students is I would have them then sketch this multiple times so they can learn more about it. It could be that you decide to literally create with this and you create a piece of artwork. Maybe you picked up a flower and it inspired a song. Maybe you picked up a flower and it literally made you want to do this motion that makes you think about blossoming like a flower. So the Lord's creativity, when you learn about his creativity, he's going to pour his creativity back into you and teach him how to create and how to be a creative just by watching the way that he makes things. So learn from him. This is a great way to personally have a reflective time, but it's also a great way to include people that don't fully know Jesus yet, but can acknowledge somebody created these things. So this is a tool I like to use with children that I don't know if they know God or not, but I begin to teach them, we were all created. This was created and it's purposeful and intentional. And we slowly peel back the layers of who God is just by watching it. I hope this was a blessing to you. I'd love to see just the things that you learn. I love to see the things that come out of this. If there's projects, you can tag us at Created Ministry and just let us know how that works. But be blessed, and I pray that you learn from the Creator through creation as you create. Bye.